Yeah, that's my strategy. If I'm out and about like that, I'll just do it at night.
Yeah, there you go. Hi everyone, hi Mir.
Oh, yes. Hello, lovelies. It is Wednesday, so it's time to talk about the open sourcey bits. We're talking about Snappy Arms and this Firefox tracking thing that's going on. If you pay attention in the Discord, I was talking about old Raspberry Pi's getting ready to make one of those initial IPOs, public offering. They're going to go public. They're selling out, man. Does that mean anything? Probably not. But it probably does. Who knows? So what do we got tonight? Yeah, Mozilla tracking, kernel 6.9, Snappy Arms, Qualcomm, that big chunky ARM thing. They're trying to do it good, strangely enough.
Oh.
And of course, Picard, which is like Picard, but with pies. Sounds a bit strange.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's all true. And we'll talk about it in just a second. Let me do a little bit of the social media-ing, which I have now completed. And boom. Wrong button. Boom. There we go. Now we got the right button going on.
There's our nice new template, just like LGC Weekly.
Now I'm going to have to play around with like chat. And let me see. Because I don't know. There we go. All right, I see chat. So I need to align that. We're going to have to play around with this. Big, long text block of stuff that is really long.
I'll do it.
That's all right. We're getting there. Let me see. Okay, so we got double complete chat, 1. Where are we at? Twitch subs, chat new, so that goes away.
Yay, Steve's husband is typing. Hi, Boo.
How big can we make it?
You like the new template, Boo? Isn't it nice?
Oh. I just enlarged the wrong thing. Control Z.
Uh-oh.
Okay. What did I do? Oh, I see exactly what I did. There we go. All right. We're learning. Get off my lawn. Okay, is that the right chat? That's the right chat. Oh. Scritch?
Boo-boo. Yeah. I ate 2 throat lozenges, took Advil, and all kinds of stuff. So I can sound halfway decent.
There we go. All right. That should be about the right length.
Yeah, that's nice and readable.
We got that together. I was just watching the Assassin's Creed trailer. There's a new Assassin's Creed they're working on. It's going to be set in like feudal Japan. And they never show any gameplay. That's what I'm always curious about, because the last Assassin's Creed video game, I enjoyed, what was it? The Assassin's Creed in Egypt. That was really dope. I had a good time with that. Then the Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which was like in Greco-Roman times. I got through most of that. And what else did I play? I think there was another one, but right, the Vikings one. Then I just got bored with that because it was too long.
Oh,
Then
I started to play the French one.
The French one?
Yeah, it was beautiful. The scenery. Maybe was it Paris or Italy? Maybe I don't
Italy.
remember. It was a while ago. It was the only Assassin's Creed I'd ever played, and I played about an hour of it and liked it, and I need to go back.
The last couple have basically just been the same game, and that was like one of the reasons I didn't get in Valhalla. That was the one, and I didn't get too much into it. It just really felt like, oh, this is the exact same game. It's just a different setting. Like we didn't really one up anything. We haven't moved anything around, and you can only do that so many times.
Yeah.
Probably one of the reasons I never like continued playing Mario after the third one. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I understand the formula. I need to go back and try the we talked about it on Linux Gamecast, which there is a Linux version of Zelda now.
Oh yeah. So the Majora's Mask. I was very excited about that, and also Roblox. You guys made that announcement, and I was like, yay! Because I've just started getting into Roblox because I've had friends that have made the little mini games, and they invite me to go in and play.
Yeah.
So at least now I can again, because the last few months I haven't been able to.
I want to get it set up on Waydroid. I mean, it's a thing. It's there. I mean, knock it out. I downloaded it and Zelda 64 recompiled. Nice. I've been meaning to do that. Like one of my bucket list items I never got around to doing was going back and like doing a playthrough of Ocarina of Time, and they're working on that. Majora's Mask, I'm like, yeah, maybe one day, but yeah, I mean, it launches and everything looks good on it. Like when I did that thumbnail, that's the actual application running, for Linux Gamecast. That thumbnail was, something I made on this PC from just like starting it up, and I'm like, oh, neat. But that was one of the things we were talking about on Saturday of it would just be so convenient if Nintendo and Sega and everybody else who had all of the older games would have online stores where we could just go buy the ROMs.
Yeah, that made so much sense. Yeah.
Like right now, if you want to go play an N64 game, you got to go to, wherever you can find it on the internet and acquire it.
Yeah.
Which, not that I am dying to give Nintendo money. That's not what I'm saying, but you hit that convenience thing, and that's something I brought up on Saturday with like good old games.
Yes, exactly.
That's what I use good old games for. I'm like, oh, look, there's an open source reimplementation of like whatever, and like Brohit was working on Sin, and I'm like, I don't have Sin, let me go get Sin. And I went over to GOG and I got a copy of Sin, and I just buy it for a few bucks, and like I do that with ROMs all the time. I wouldn't buy them all, but like I'd spend $9, I think, maybe on an N64 ROM if it was convenient.
Yeah, it would be nice if there was some kind of software repository that was easy to access and
or like
all integrated.
If it was just, I could just go to the Nintendo shop and buy an N64 ROM, and they're like, here, it's in your account. If you ever need it again, log back in and download it. And, but they'll never do that. They don't need the money. That's the problem. When you get big enough and you don't need the money, they just do whatever you want, and you hope.
Yeah.
And you hope as a customer that they do some stuff that you want because they're not in it for you anymore.
Yeah.
Which is wild. Hello, Arthur.
Hi, Arthur. Good evening.
Let me get back up here. Yeah, it's going to be curious to see what's going on with the Raspberry Pi. But like right before the show, something I noticed, I was looking over the MikroTik, which is the company I use for the networking hardware in the studio. The latest release candidate for Router OS, which is all my routers just run Linux,
Yeah.
And that's what Router OS is. They're adding their own version of the Pi hole into Router OS.
Okay.
Like it's going to be baked in where you can just pull other people's ad block lists and just suck them in, and it takes care of it for you.
Oh, that's really convenient.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, that's pretty dope. Oh, dude, I watched that. Yep. That's a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it. That was a Guy Ritchie movie. It didn't go full Guy Ritchie, but I'd say it hit like 82-83% Guy Ritchie, and I'm like, let's go. Had Chris Hemsworth in it, based on a true story too, on top of everything else.
Oh, that's cool. What service is that one on?
What was the the Ministry of Angelic Warfare?
Yeah. I've heard it, but I know I came across it, but I can't remember which one.
Yeah, I think it was Amazon.
Amazon, okay.
Or was it Netflix?
I know.
There are buttons on a
They
tablet.
all running together for me.
It's on the Googles. You go type in where can I watch.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the guy who played Reacher? All right. See, I didn't know that. I'd never gotten around to watching Reacher, which is strange because I've read, who was it, Lee Child, who was the author of those, I think, if I remember correctly. I read like 2 or 3 of those books. I don't do much actual reading anymore because I'm not stuck in airplanes all the time. But I enjoyed them for what they were.
Ooh.
I liked them.
Oh, hi, Biatko.
Hello. Yeah, there's like so much TV. I'll tell you what I did watch. And I put it off for like almost a week. I watched the new Doctor Who.
Okay. Yeah, that's my next watch, actually.
First 2 episodes, and like Jordan worried me a little bit because I was talking to Jordan about it in the pre-super shows and on Saturday, and he's like, I don't know if you're gonna like the first episode. And I'm like, don't tell me stuff like that.
Oh, don't tell you. Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, when did I get a chance? I think it might have been like Monday or Tuesday morning or whatever. Time's weird for me. Like, I needed this to be good. I needed something to watch, man. I'm like, come on, be good, because we don't know. You know, Russell T. Davis is back at the helm.
Yeah.
And, you know, we really don't know anything about the new Doctor because we only got like 30 seconds of him during the special with Tenet, you know, with the toy maker. And, yeah, the first one was a bit weak. It wasn't bad, though. It was just weak. It was definitely, I'm like, Davis is definitely wrote this. I'm like, this is old Davis weird type stuff. And I'm like, all right, that's... Second one though, it nailed it.
Awesome.
It. We got mystery, we got intrigue, we got plot development, character. Like I finished that episode and I'm like, oh, I'm curious to see where we're going with this. Like you feel like you're back on that ride again.
Cool.
Which has been missing.
Yeah.
For a long time in Doctor Who. So I'm glad to see that's back. And there was also that trailer I posted yesterday in Discord. What was it, Metropolis? The Coppola movie.
A remake?
It's not a remake of the one you're thinking of.
Oh, okay.
Megalopolis, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
2024.
Metropolis was the first science fiction film.
It was pretty interesting. I just clicked on it because, you know, they were like, hey, it's a Coppola film. I'm like, all right, I'll watch the trailer. Oh. Hadn't seen a trailer like that in a long time. Because I finished watching the trailer and I didn't know what the movie was about. I'm like, I'm not sure what's going on here, but I have questions. I was trying to think back, like, because they just don't do trailers like that anymore. You know, a common complaint with modern movie trailers is like, well, you just saw all the best parts in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, they hit you with all that. And like, this is just very low key of like, what's going on? And it's got a Matrixy Dark City vibe. It's got that feel to it of like,
oh, cool,
something's going on. And I like that. It kind of, that hit me more with I would like to know more. And I'm not going to go dig around because I don't want to get it spoiled. And it reminded me of the original Matrix trailers.
Nice.
The theatrical trailers for the Matrix. Like myself, like a lot of people, we went into the movie theaters in 1999, had no idea what the Matrix was. We'd watched the trailers, still no idea really what was going on. It was a mystery. And I kind of got some of that feel from that trailer.
Cool. I'll have to go look at it. Yeah, the Ministry is available on Amazon and Apple TV. That's good.
It's a fun movie. It's a Guy Ritchie movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you like Guy Ritchie stuff, Lock, Stock, and I think he did that Jason Statham movie.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of it.
Me neither.
Oh, we will see. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Doctor Who, I'm so excited. I'm so happy to hear Ven. It really nails it on the second episode because that's what we're all hoping for. The Tenet comeback was great. So I'm excited. And I like the new Doctor a lot.
I didn't know if I was going to like him a lot. Like I said, he'd only been on screen for like 30 seconds. And
Yeah.
that guy was
He seemed fun.
Was it
I
Operation?
actually watched a making of the Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Christmas specials. It's been a while.
You know what, Art Theory? I don't know if that's... I'm aware of that one, but I think I'm thinking of a different one. Guy Ritchie movies. This is what we got to do.
It's just...
Wrath of Man. The other one, I think. The other Jason Statham movie from Guy Ritchie that was made. I don't know if I've seen The Gentleman. Yeah, the other Jason Statham Guy Ritchie movie that was made within the last 4 years. That one. Common mistake. We need a sequel to Man from U.N.C.L.E., though.
Oh. I'd only seen the original. I never saw the remake.
Remake's really good. All right, I got to do... Now we got enough chat on screen to where I can trim it. We're going to squish that. And...
Oh, and then put pre-show and after-show. Maybe they could stick it up there.
we'll let it end about right there. There we go. All right. Yeah, I'd like to see Man from U.N.C.L.E. too.
I think I will be right back so we can get going.
All right. Let me see. Let me check on all my packages. I'm waiting for my RAM to show up. I was talking to Jill about that for a while. Live. The Elite Desk. I'm not done torturing that poor little box. And it's in danger too, because it doesn't cost enough to worry about just buying another. But I'll tell you something I had to do. Oh, I did the on Jackbox, right? I got a box in the studio. It's for the audio, handles all the audio. So it's running this screen over here. It's got a Noctua NHP one on it, which is that big, comically big, fanless heatsink with the heat pipes and all that. It's got like heat plates on it. Started getting some audio weirdness with this last week. Summertime, starting to get warm in the studio. I'm like, it just felt like it was heat related. And I'm like, are you getting hot? And I go to check the CPU temps. And, you know, I even tracked it with Peace Sensor last week. Get an idea. And I'm like, no. It did its job. It was fine. It kept the CPU nice and I think it got up to like 56. And same for those things are good up to what, 80, 90? Some abstract number. And like not a big deal. But what is it? Then I thought about it. I thought about it when I did the thing where I take the entire case out, open it up, look at it, and just like look at it like, what's going on? And then it hit me. I can't see the RAM because this thing just completely covers everything. And it's hanging over the RAM. So I got 16 gigajoules of memory RAM sitting there under there just baking. Because it's just got convection airflow, right? Put a little fan on it. That was a problem. Seems to be the problem. Keep your RAM cool, kids. That came to mind because I saw that ridiculous thing I posted this morning, which is an LCD cover for your RAM. I don't even know if it's a cooler. It's a cover that goes on top of your RAM with a screen that generates heat to show you the temperature of your RAM. Is that where we're at with is that what the kids are doing? Seeing how many LCD displays that they can shove into like a PC? Is that the game these days? I don't know what the game is these days. Water blocks. Yeah, I think Pedro posted something like there's a water version of that. Like here's the spoiler, kids. RAM rarely gets hot enough to justify having integrated heat spreaders. That's mostly cosmetic, much less water cooling. An LCD, it goes against everything that's holy, children. It does. Hear my words, because that means that you have your PC on your desk, and that's wrong. You should be ashamed of yourself. You're being extraordinarily naughty if you have your PC on your desk. You don't need to be concerned about RAM temps. Like, unless you just got like a thermal desk box and your ambient temperature's like 30°C, you're not going to get RAM hot enough to hurt it. You know, I know your favorite YouTuber might argue that, but I come from, 13 years in enterprise. I'll argue that knowledge against your favorite YouTuber. Now, this might all go out the window with like DDR6 or whatever. Like DDR5 is starting to get there though. We're probably only like, maybe a generation or two. Unless there's like some breakthrough, like DDR7 might require active cooling. We've seen that with like M. PCI Express Gen 5, Gen 6. Man, if you walk around with some of the temps in data centers, dude, like the vast majority of them are not like super air chilled or anything like that. They're thermal death boxes, man, with big fans. And even with non-EEC RAM, like it's got to get extraordinarily hot. Basically, it's got to have a ginormous heatsink that far from it, hanging over the top, baking it. And then it only gets squirrely enough to be picked up in real-time applications. It was causing issues that you would never see on a desktop PC. It was causing hiccups that took more than 2.67 milliseconds. That was the hiccup. And it wasn't causing errors. It was just causing processing delays. Which was one of the mineral oil cooling? Yeah, dude, like mineral oil cooling, submergent cooling, it seems like every decade that comes up, then somebody tries it. Then they do their write-up and they're like, that was a mistake. Air cooling works. It's loud, it's noisy, it's not classy. It doesn't come with an LCD on the cooler on your AIO. Actually, I think somebody did release a air cooler with an LCD on it. I think I saw that. But it gets the job done. Like it's very efficient. Air cooling is. I did when I was in university, we bought some mineral oil and basically just dumped a computer in it. And I mean, it worked, but I mean, we're talking like 2000, 2001 tech. But the problem we had was on the SATA cables, the oil like got sucked up into them and like creeped because we didn't put the spinny drives in there, right? And it just wicked it up and like came back. It was like 2 days later, there was just oil all over the HDD where it was plugged in. And I'm like, all right, this is dumb. Then we ended up just throwing everything away. We didn't do it with a good PC either. It was just an experiment. You don't even need a good whoosh. Like, whoosh is best. If you can throw down some solid whoosh, you're good. Like, wheezing air. Just a little bit of airflow over something is night and day difference. You know? I'd like to see something different, something new. Yeah, like you could dunk M.2. Like solid states I wouldn't worry about. It was like the mechanical, because that's like one of the problems with the viscosity of mineral oil. Like we couldn't get fans or anything because you still want that stuff rotating, which we didn't know back in the day. That's why like that 3M non-conductive fluid's good, because it's thin and you can, cycle it throughout a tank to get things, because you still need that convection even in the water to dump the heat. The heat's got to go somewhere, right? Because you're eventually gonna like load whatever you're, unless you're just like pumping it out to, like the ocean or something like that, or swimming pool. Oh, all right. I think everything's maybe it'll be running pretty smooth. Maybe get a little top off, and we'll go ahead and hop into it.
Okay. Yay, Arthurian. Oh boy. It's been a long week for me. Happy to be here. Yay. So Arthurian, how are you doing? Yeah, Arthurian. So, yeah, it's just a lot this week. Some wonderful family gatherings with my nephew's graduation, and so much. Yeah, it's lots of events to attend. That's what it is. So much so that I haven't been able to celebrate my birthday yet. So. And then I got sick, and my throat is it seems to be a little better today. But the last few days I've been hurting. Yeah, I'm here. Oh, I like that. So cute, Arthurian. Pink penguin. Yay. Yay. So I do have a trip planned to Disneyland. If we don't go this weekend, we'll go next weekend. Let's see if I'm up to it. Captain, it's Wednesday. That's funny, Steve husband. I like that. Mir, that's funny. I think that was already there. That's pretty funny. Mm-hmm. Aw. I love that art there, and I'm gonna save that gift. Mm-hmm.
All right. And we got that updated. Let me check something. Output. Why is it?
Oh,
right.
Thank you, Arthur. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Ready to rock and roll? We gonna do a thing?
Yes.
Want to do a show? How's my battery? How's my juice? Man, I had to charge a bunch of AA batteries the other day. AA batteries take forever to charge.
Oh, yeah, slow. Yeah.
I've gotten used to charging these 18650s and 21700s, these lithium batteries. Which take like 2 hours to get a full charge. I forget nickel metal
Oh.
NIMH. Which, because it was this cascade of running out of batteries.
Yeah, it always happens all at once.
And my trackball died. And I'm like, oh, I need batteries. Let me go. Grab the batteries. And the batteries were flat. And I'm like, oh, I never got around to charging that set of batteries. Fine. Let me rob the batteries out of the controller.
There you go.
which I know are good. And then I'm like, oh, I need to play a game. I still need the batteries. And like, then the other ones were charging, and like, I charged them all up. It took, I think, an entire day to charge, 3 sets of AA's.
Oh, wow. That is a long time.
But we're back. We're fully charged, kids. All right. Let's tap some record buttons. And hopefully our RAM doesn't melt now.
Okay.
Can I get some of that? There we go. All right. No melty RAM. We don't want it to leak. Here we go. All right. Hey everyone, welcome back to Linux Weekly, daily Wednesdays where we sit back, relax, take that midweek break, talk about some of the fun things going on in the world of Linux and open source. I'm Ben Stone, joined every week by Jill, Brian, and everybody watching this. We're just chatting about melting RAM in the pre-show. If you want to go watch that, it'll be up later for patrons in the Live and Uncut podcast, or go check out our Uncut channel over on YouTube. It'll be out a week later for everybody else. What's up? What's new? Jill is trying to imitate me, which is I consider the most sincere bit of flattery. Trying to emulate my vocal stylings. Are you?
I wish I could get as low as you, Ben. You have
no,
a nice
you don't.
voice.
I hate hearing this. I wish. Trust me. I'm like, I just wish I could talk into. I listen to people talk on like doing YouTube videos and stuff like that. I'm like, I bet that's so easy.
Yeah. Aw. Yeah, so I've been sick. So everyone excuse my scratchy throat, and that's what Ben's talking about. I'm a little lower today than I usually am. But for me, it's like being a high soprano. It takes a lot to get even lower than I can't even get anywhere near Ben's baritone voice.
This is not that bad, Joe. Come on.
Okay, good.
Don't worry, I'll pitch shift you so you'll be like, yeah. Man, so I think the thing just showed up. I'm still in the process of torturing. I got that HP Elite desk in the basement tied down to a chair. I'm like, you're cheap enough to where it doesn't matter if I break you. Let's find out where you break. Doing all the things, answering all the questions that I have. Getting Linux on it, I'll give you a little bit of a spoiler. Not too bad. There's a couple of steps, but I know people are going to be concerned about, hey man, how does this compare against, a Raspberry Pi 4 or 5 for power usage? So I'm getting some tests with that because it's got a couple of modes. And surprisingly, I didn't expect this. For the power modes, it's got the, I'm going to do everything in my power. I'm going to turn myself into like a neurotic little laptop with no battery mode. Which is pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good. But it's also got something that I was not expecting, is something I do on all the boxes in the studio, effectively just disabling C states, which just tells the CPU to like run at full clock constantly. Okay. Don't throttle, don't try to do frequency scaling, just go. It's got that mode in there. I'll show you how to get to that.
Cool.
Pretty fun. Got the extra RAM, so we're going to be able to see single channel, dual channel for like if you want. This is like a legitimate desktop computer too, for the price. It's a lot of fun information, and it seems to really not mind Linux all that much. So stay tuned for that. That'll be over on Interfacing Linux in the upcoming weeks. I'm not. I've learned not to say next week.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get into the news of the week. Oh yeah, speaking of Raspberry Pi, I put that in our Discord. If you're a patron, go hop in, or if you're a Twitch sub, go hop in. We have a little Discord set up for our members. The Raspberry Pi IPO, initial public offering, they're going to go public. They're going to go. Yeah, man. Like they're not going to be like the little private company. They want to get all Hollywood and mainstream on us. And I don't know what to think about that. Different times are changing.
Yeah, we've been talking about that for a while now. So
I posted the information from the London Stock Exchange this morning in Discord. I'm like, they're doing it now.
Yeah.
And they decided to go with the London Stock Exchange instead of the New York Stock Exchange, which is kind of interesting because ARM decided to go that route. We'll see what is going to be in store for our friends over Raspberry Pi. But let's Good news, everybody. Let's talk about what's changing in Firefox. Better insights, same privacy. You read that headline, you're like, oh, we're probably good. I can skip reading that, right?
Yeah. Until you read about what the article is actually
I
about.
read the headline. It sounds fine, Jill.
Yeah.
Firefox is great. So, what's
Yeah,
new
we
in
know.
Firefox's approach to search data? Well, opt-out data collection. That's right. To quote, we're ramping up our efforts to enhance search experiences by developing new features like Firefox Suggest, which provides recommended online content that corresponds to queries. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way because I really want corporations to stop pretending that data collection is for my benefit. Like,
Yeah.
guys, it's not. Stop. We're not that dumb, okay? And it's like, we're really trying to help you out. I'm like, no, you're not. I don't care who you are. So, a couple of things about this. This is only going to be available in the US. So, that is usually a good indicator. Like, make of that what you need to. I'm like, yeah, probably because they couldn't get away with doing this in the EU, like a lot of other companies. However, they do provide a step-by-step guide for disabling the latest bit of data collection in your Firefox. And this is going to be the new version of Firefox that you download. And while you're doing that, you probably also want to disable like the sending performance data, the telemetry that's on in Firefox while you're in there. And there's actually like a whole slew of stuff that you got to dig into the about config in Firefox to completely wipe out what you can, because those checkboxes in the UI are just the tip. But here's what I want, Firefox. Does this really bother me? I'm like, whatever. I mean, data collection is data collection. I spin it. I mean, somebody will definitely like jump up and try to white knight and be like, but it's different because everybody else does it. I'm like, yeah, but Firefox was being cool, man. Can we get a blog post from Firefox outlining their plans for staying competitive and innovating on the web browser? That's the next post I want to read from the Firefox blog about them doing cool stuff. Not we need to data mine and figure this stuff out, man. This is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. And this is also going to cause a lot of people to get really defensive about why. I guarantee you in the upcoming weeks, people will somehow try to defend this, saying, well, it's okay when they do it. And I'm like, that's always a bad argument. You're always on the wrong side when you're doing that argument, but you do to you. However, I want to see how long it takes for somebody to bring up Arkenfox, LibreWolf, or like WaterFox, because that, as soon as you're like, because those are like the ultra hyper privacy focused Chromium and Firefox based browsers. This is not all doom and gloom. I don't think you need to get everything's burning down. It's something you can disable. The only thing I take issue with, and it's not Firefox, is with anybody, is making stuff like this opt out, because this is opt in by default. You need to go turn this off if you don't want those data bits collected. Now, maybe you can say to yourself, well, I'm trying to help out Firefox. We don't know what they're doing with the data. Also, keep that in mind. But like with me, I don't care. Like I got all the telemetry and stuff like cut on. I'm like, whatever, fine. So what about you, Joe Bryant?
Oh yeah, I was actually a bit befuddled by this as well, especially since lately Firefox, they've actually been more focused on the user browser experience in their last few iterations. They've done a lot of improvements. And I guess to their defense, they are going to try and do this as securely as possible and as privately as possible. But data collection is data collection at the end of the day. So, I've always actually loved how easy it is to change the default search engine right in the URL bar in Firefox. So maybe Mozilla could make it easier to opt out of data collection in the same location and just, have a little button or something clicked opt out. Yeah. Or just like Ven was saying, opt out by default, and then you can go back and opt in if you want to help them out with data collection. It's a little puzzling.
To put a real fine point on it, like what they're going to be collecting here is your search activity.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to be tracking, what you're searching for. And like, I don't know, man. Like, if that doesn't bother you, but then again, who knows what everything that you're searching for search engines. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Uh, maybe I want to say slippery slope, but again, when I read stuff like this, I'm like, this is fine. Why don't we go back to focusing on your core product, please?
Yeah.
Please, like this. I don't see how this helps Firefox become a better browser, because there's already stuff in Firefox like the sponsored tab things with recommendations.
Sandboxing.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. Searching privately.
We've been around too long, Joe. We watched all the good stuff turn not so good.
I just realized, Ben, maybe this has something to do with them wanting to create their own search engine. I don't know. I mean, they use the Google search for their, start page. But,
I don't think they'll do that mainly because like almost all of their funding comes from Google.
I know. And
they're kind of hamstringed with that. But, we talked a couple of weeks ago, it might have been a couple of months ago, that, the leadership changes in Firefox, and they, the first thing was the wave of like cutting all those projects, that a lot of the projects, like, they're VR chat servers. And like, what?
Yeah.
Why are we wasting money on that? And, who knows? Who knows? I got, I use Firefox on the desktop. This is not going to affect mobile for now, by the way. So you're still there. I just thought everybody needs to be aware of it. Something you need to be aware of as well as a very nice kernel release.
Yeah, so Linus Torvalds has released Linux kernel 6.9, and it's full of improvements, fixes, and more awesome hardware support. So one of the improvements is on Intel-based machines. They will now boot faster with Linux now that Intel Fastboot support is now included for older chipsets in the latest 6.9 kernel. This was previously enabled in the Linux kernel, but for Intel Skylake processors and newer. So now those of us who like to collect older computers will get this benefit of faster booting. And also AMD gets lots of love with AMD P-State preferred core support in the AMD P-State driver for AMD Zen 2 and later chips. And there's better support for ARM processors, including ARM64 Rust code support. And Linus Torvalds, the creator of Linux, had this to say: "And I now have a more powerful ARM64 machine thanks to Ampere. So the last week, I've been doing almost as many ARM64 builds as I have x86-64. And that should obviously continue during the upcoming merge window too." So that's pretty big news. We know that Linus has been working on ARM machines, and now we're getting more love in the kernel for ARM. Also, there is, the usual enablement for specific hardware in the Linux kernel, such as there's a battery charge control now for Fujitsu laptops, a performance boost on the HP Omen 17 laptop. There's fan speed control for Microsoft Surface laptops, and support for 10 MediaTek MT8186 based Chromebooks, and third-party support for Xbox controllers, including the Snakebite Gamepad Base X and Gamepad RGB X. I know a few people with those devices, so that was really cool. And something Ven and I have talked about before, the ext2 file system is now officially deprecated with this release. Wow. Yeah, that's an end of an era. And so the next Linux kernel released will be Linux kernel 6.10, which will be a long-term support release. So that will be coming soon. But yeah, Linus said, of course, as he usually does, this kernel release is not that big a deal, when it actually really is. So,
probably the biggest takeaway I got from this is like, if you're unfamiliar with like Ampere, is like Ampere, they make like the super chunky ARM boxes. Like, so I'm sure they were like, hey, it'd be really neat. Here's one. Go take it.
Here's one. Yeah.
Whatever you do with it, we don't know. You use this as a doorstop. It'd be really cool if you started playing around with it. And Linus being Linus, like any of us, is like, I'm going to start playing around with that because it's an extraordinarily expensive desktop. And it's good to see ARM, hopefully, or something smelling like ARM is going to be in our future. And I was reading this over at It's Foss. All the links are going to be in our show notes. How do you install kernel 6.9? This makes me sad. How far we've fallen. Yeah, just like how far we've fallen with this is like if you're supporting a rolling release, you wait for it to happen, or if you don't, there's a guide to leave me a comment. When was the last time you compiled a kernel? I'm going to be compiling a kernel this afternoon and installed it. Like this is a 15-minute operation at most. Is that knowledge like truly just gone for the average user on Linux these days? Like has the knowledge base of like, ew, I'm not doing that. Why would I ever do that? Like, because I want to try out the new kernel. You know, I'm going to do that. I'm going to build some Debian packages and I'm going to install them on Debian 12 this afternoon and try it out for a thing.
Yeah.
Let me know.
Especially since it's actually easier now than it ever has been.
Not if you've never built anything before. I don't know. Like that is the knowledge base I'm always curious about. And we get further and further away from that, the more prevalent things like, things that make no sense to me is like containerized desktop apps. And you're like, but I double click on the Flatpak. Can I install the Flatpak kernel? I'm like, oh God, no. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, there we go. What do we got up next? Yeah, ext2 going away. Like, yeah, that's, I remember ext. I've had systems hosed by ext2 because it wasn't a journal file system. You know, power blips or like, well, there goes that box. Probably won't be able to recover it. And lo and behold, I wasn't able to. So I don't miss it. But Snapdragon, let's talk about big chunky arms.
Yeah,
Rawr,
ARM.
big flex.
Yeah.
This comes from Qualcomm. They're going to be upstreaming Linux kernel support for the Snapdragon X Elite. That one. Yeah, that 12-core chunker we've been hearing about, and I've been talking about it. I'm excited about it. Looks by the next LTS, we're looking at like kernel 610, 611, somewhere in there. We're going to have actual support for this because they're sending this stuff upstream. Like, and like how powerful are these chips? These chips are just like a little behind a current day iPad with the new Apple SoC in them, the M series, not like your old dumpy iPads like the iPad Pros. They're working on video decoding, the camera, power, open firmware, boot firmware, like the entire stack. Like they want to get all of this running just right out of the box. Like these things aren't really available to get your hands on and play with just yet. So, yeah, I mean, we're talking like NVMe drives. They want to make sure the battery performance is good, suspend and resume, sleep on the GPU parts, all that stuff. There's even an experimental disk image for, of course, Debian. If you want to play around, if you somehow have your hands on the hardware right now, and they're looking for contributors to come in and help on the kernel mailing list archive. If you want to do that, that makes me excited because this is coming directly from Qualcomm. This isn't typically we get something like this, like people hacking on Broadcom type stuff for Raspberry Pi, still trying to get everything like a Raspberry Pi 5 booting with like a stock kernel. That's still not quite there yet. You still need a custom kernel. Knowing that this is going to be out like this in the kernel, ready to go, is something to get excited about for our Army future, because this is not like a little, this is not a Raspberry Pi 5. This is a desktop CPU or SoC that you can like legitimately get away with doing some stuff with.
Yeah.
It's not going to be cheap though. You're not going to get it for $75, but
yeah, we're going to be paying Apple prices, I think, for a bit.
Probably, you're probably going to see this first in, like $2,000 laptop somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And it's almost guaranteed to be a better love story than Windows on ARM, because Windows is going to take another, Windows 11 is going to take another swing at being on ARM again, working with Qualcomm to try to make this happen. And like that did not take with Windows 10 when they tried that. Yeah. And then we like what Joe was talking about, and like Linus has got an ARM machine these days, so
yeah,
sky's the limit.
Yeah, and that's that was the point I was going to make. Is as we talked about in the latest Linux kernel release 6.9, Linus has an ARM machine now to build kernels on, and this I'm sure goes a long way to Qualcomm upping their support of the latest Snapdragon X Elite. It just it just happened to coincide that both these topics were on the same show. And that is going to be awesome.
Right.
And one thing I found interesting, Ven, is that they said in the next 6 months, one of the things they're working on is end-to-end hardware video decoding on Firefox and Chrome. And that's excellent. That's
like, to put a finer point on that.
Yeah.
Qualcomm's not just like, here at booths-ish, go see if you get, like, they're working on system level stuff all the way up to user-facing stuff like Jill just said, Firefox.
Yeah.
Like, they want this thing to be a slick, smooth experience, and I'm here for it. I think it's a good time. Stay tuned. I look forward to when we have multiple options, x86 norm. Like, there's going to be that convergence, hopefully in our lifetime, where that's going to be a decision you have to make. If you haven't played around with like an iPad Pro, that's my dream device, but I want it not running Apple stuff.
Yeah.
Like that dockable with a keyboard and gerbil. That would be my dream device. Something that can actually run DaVinci, because I played around with DaVinci Resolve on an iPad Pro. It's usable, man. Like, I'm like, okay, you can do stuff, and it's like a little sheet of glass. I want that experience over here in Linux land, and stuff like this is going to allow it to happen. No.
Yay.
Good times. Hey, Alexa. Okay, Google.
Did Ven trigger any of your devices out there?
Oh, people say they do, but they don't. Who's like really like in 2024 is like, yeah, I had you on the loudspeaker in the house, and that, I'm like, no, you did. You just want to type that in chat, or you want to leave a comment. I feel you. Let's talk about just another AI powered voice assistant. And you're like, oh, okay, well that looks sketchy, and I'm like, yeah, it does, but I'm down with it because this is the little Pi segment that we like to do, because this is a Raspberry Pi powered one. Of course, make it so. There's it's not called Pi card for no reason, because there's one Pi card we all know. This runs entirely on your Raspberry Pi, AI-powered voice assistant, and it doing anything a standard LLM can do, like ChatGPT, conversations, and all the fun bits that you would expect. So what's different about it? Well, no internet connection is required. In addition, if there's a camera equipped, you can also ask PiCard to take a photo, describe what it sees. Like, you can mess with it, basically, and even ask it questions about, hey, that thing I just showed you, what do you think that is? And it's like, it's a ham sandwich. Then you can put the cat down. So you can even plug a speaker into it, and it'll talk to you, and you can talk to it. It uses distributed models, so latency is a little on the high side right now. It is, but it does run on a Raspberry Pi 4. Again, no internet connection needed, and it will probably occasionally bring up Earl Grey tea. I don't know that from experience. It's just a guess. I think that's pretty neat.
So cool. All we need is Majel Barrett's Roddenberry's voice on it to Loxana Troy to do all the speaking, like in Next Gen. And I was thinking what's really fun is they have a wake up word you can use to activate it. And I would use engage, or make it so is good as well. And I was just thinking how funny this would be, and to an exit word could be arch, as a double meaning for Star Trek TNG to exit the holodeck, and also for Linux. I use arch, by the way. I know that's silly.
You could probably build something kind of interesting with this. Like, if you look at the homebrew version, let me open image and new tab. Geez, 360 by. Yeah, that's definitely homebrew right there. You got the PiCam like standing on like, man, now we got a little speaker plugged into it, but it does work. You could probably build a nicer enclosure for it. And yeah, being able to do your own trigger word is great, because this is one of the things I've never liked about like Google Assistant or Alexa is like, I want to be able to say operator. Why? Because that got my little brain thinking back in 1999 when I watched The Matrix. There was this one scene where
Mm.
Neo and Trinity are like running on the top of a skyscraper, and he's like, "Do you know how to fly that thing?" And she's like, "Not yet." And she's like, "Operator," and I'm like, "That's the future." There we go, and we kind of have that
There we
right
go.
now, but we have the delay. Our bandwidth is really slow with Operator because we still have to do the like brain to like mobile phone or search it, and then we have to read the information. More and more and more, where I can just be like, "Hey, tell me how to do the thing." I'm
Yeah.
down for it.
I like what this developer did because he made it so much more personal. And it doesn't have to use the internet, the web. So that's huge. That's really really awesome use of AI, definitely.
Well, you got something that you can run at home. You don't have to plug into anything, and you can mess around with it on your own time. You can ask it those questions that you don't want to ask on the internet, like, how do I boil water? Because you're just too ashamed. You're like, I don't want anybody to know. I don't know how to boil water. Oh, go play around with it. And yeah, you can do like Whisper, the llama language
Yeah, the
models
llama.
should work.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't ever use the only thing with all the processing power and stuff tied into the cloud and data and what do I use my voice assistant for? Set a timer. That's it. That's it. That is the only time I will ever do anything voice assistant. I'm like, hey, set a timer. I'm like, what? I'm like, how long? I'm like, I don't know. Give me a minute. And I'm like, did not understand that. Then there's like, if you go back and look at my search history of me like battling with it, trying to get it back to the correct prompt to set a timer, where I could have just walked over, pulled down the screen, set timer. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap us up for today. Thanks for hanging out. We do this live every Wednesday on Twitch, twitch.tv/Linux Gamecast. There'll be a link down in the video description. You want to come say hi, hop into the chat. All of our chats are linked together. Our Discord, our IRC, and of course, Twitch chat is all live. And this conversation continues on over on General Disarrayson, our super secret private channel for our Twitch subs and Patreon subscribers. But you guys already know that because you're there doing the thing. Speaking of that, you want to help us out, we'd appreciate it. Support the show, linuxgamecast.com/support. We got Patreon, LibrePay, all the regular stuff, a bunch of rewards for Patreon stuff, like access to our Discord. But same way, if you can kick some cheddar on Twitch, use that Bezo box, give it a try before you buy it. We got wish lists and a bunch of fun things. Just keep show free. And there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for episode 423. And speaking of them patrons, let's go ahead and show them off in the credits.
Thank our patrons, our advisors, Omegas and Artherin. Our executive producers, Barbrant, Scott M, Atomic, Mike G. Our Chicago Kicks people, Super Dust Down, Empty, Blasphemia. Our Sea Monsters, some of them, Dirty Dean, Decraze, Frostclaw. Our Death Notes, Benjamin, Doom 2, Wad, Stephen B. Our Chairlings, Coma, Nick, Jason, Jolly Man, Danielle. I was trying to name people I hadn't read in a while.
That's right, Stephen. The last thing we need to close out on, donkeys. See you next week, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Oh. Kick donkeys.
I'm sure that means something to Steve. To me, you just scream donkeys, and I'm like, that's how you roll, dude. That's how you roll.
Oh, thank you, Live. Our Minlair. Yeah, despite my voice. I'm being heavily drugged on medicine.
3 aspirin.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's good. I think it did improve over the stream.
All right, everybody.
Oh, Chicago Kicks Donkeys. Yeah, I can say that. I just can't say the other word. I never thought about that. Thank you, Steve Husband. Oh, thanks for joining us, Hypophice. That's a neat name. Oh, wow, you're a singer? Yeah, live at Minlarer.
Let me see. Do I have that locked? Oh, I do have that locked. All right. Yeah, I gotta figure out where to put the after shows and pre-shows and status. I don't know. I have put it there, but I'm like, that's lazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's gonna go there for right now.
Yeah, it works. It works.
There's nothing more permanent than a temporary solution, so...
Yeah. All
right. And...
Chicago Fix Donkeys. Patreon level.
There we go. Did the world explode while we were doing a little show? Let me check.
Live Tar Minotaur.
Hey, something is in or out my mailbox. Neat.
Oh, there is a T in there. I didn't see that. Oh, I thought it said live at Minlarer. It's live Tar Minlarer. Where does your name come from? Live Tar? Oh, okay, great. Oh, that's a really good one. Life is my teacher. Oh, that's excellent. I love it.
See, this is why if you got like a squirrely username, you just get one I made up.
No, I like that. That's great.
All right. There we go. Let me check the recording. There we go. Nice little 87.9 gigabyte file.
Oh, the after shows in looks nice. That's a good size, Ben.
Gotta go rescue. Speaking of RAM, I think my RAM is in the mailbox. It means I gotta go to the mailbox. So where does my brain go? It's like, oh, you're going to the mailbox. And it's like, oh, what can you accomplish on your trip to the mailbox? Which is just across my front lawn to the mailbox. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, Gamatron is one of our... yeah, she's one of my favorite people in chat, too, and I love her name.
Who's your least favorite person, Jill?
Oh, no, I don't have a least favorite. I like them
if
all.
you got a favorite, that means that you got a scale. You can't have a favorite without having a least favorite.
Aw, here.
Let's see. Fado mixing, not loading. Okay, here's a question. I run into this a lot because I answer, I try to help people out with their audio stuff and their video stuff under Linux. And there's not a lot of places to go ask these questions. One of the new ones is interfacing Linux. What is it? And this isn't just audio video stuff. This is somebody like asking questions for, maybe you've run across this in your travels on the internet over the years, is they'll ask the same thing in multiple forums trying to get a different answer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've seen that, especially on forums and Reddit.
I've seen this thing particularly asked on the... Now, this just happens to be pertaining to audio about a particular device, and I'm like, I've seen the answer given to this on the Outdoor Forum, Linux Musicians Forum, and now the question is here again. I'm like, now, there's something to be said about getting a second opinion, right?
Yeah, yeah, or if they didn't get a good answer from one of the other forums. It happens sometimes in our YouTube show notes, too. Our YouTube comments, I mean.
But you see, at some point, you just got to accept the answer.
Yeah. If they've all been given the same answer, but they don't want to hear it, that's a different story altogether. Yeah.
Try to be polite about it. And I'm like, I'm not going to tell you anything different than you've been told on these two other forums. And then on top of that, I've even had it like, I've seen it posted, then it'll show up like on the Fado mailing list. And I'm like, dude, I'll go ahead and email Jonathan. I'm like, don't waste your time. Like, I understand like the hope and despair But like at some point, you got to admit defeat and move on, which is unfortunate. There we go. Cool. All right, I think we get everything together, and that was a pretty concise show. Jackbox mostly behaved. You still got to track down one gremlin with that. Common knowledge is wrong. How many times though? You see, you're doing the right thing. If you get driven into like creating your own solution, that's good. Like, you know, like, hey, I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do this, and they're like, you can't do it with that. And I'm like, well, maybe I can make it do that myself. But when you're just approaching it, when it's just like a straight up technical issue, and I'm like, this doesn't work. It's like, I need to plug in this round hole into the square peg. I'm like, not unless you're going to fabricate an adapter out of magic, round up unicorns. It's not going to happen. I'm like, I hear what you're saying, but let me go ask that again. And they get the same answer. And like, well, okay, I understand, but I need to go ask another group of people. Yeah, like, and you can always tell from like the tonation, like, can't say you can always tell. That's not true, but you can usually get a vibe of like, you're just wishing, man, like, I can't help you with this. Or the solution is like, well, do you want to spend some money? I'm like, no. I'm like, well, then no, can't fix it. Which is a shame, but, you know, is as it is, everybody. All right, I think that's going to do it. I got to get that. I got to go rescue my RAM. I got to continue. I got to go back down to the basement and start smacking around the HP Elite desk a little bit more and see if I can get some more information out of it. See if I can get it to reveal the rest of its secrets.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to tempt it with another 8 gig block of laptop memory, which is matched, which was fun to track down. It wasn't a pain to track down, but it was fun to track down. And I will be back on Friday. If you like a little bit of racing, we do Track Mania. I'm in there. I've set up a server. It's not the latest Track Mania. It is vintage, retro, classic Track Mania. It's like 11-year-old game. It's like $9. Runs out of the box on Proton. Runs on Intel integrated graphics. You don't even need a big GPU. You don't like racing games? That's awesome. It's not a racing game. It's physics platforming. You got to think about this, especially if you're getting on in years and you're like, I need something to keep my brain active. This would do it. We put down 10 new maps each week because people are still, they had the insight to include a track editor for this game that is usable, and people are using it to this day. There are dozens of maps made each week. They're getting better and do all types of variations, and we go through them all, some classic ones, some new ones, and there's a fun one we got as a bonus map that we're definitely going to, if you just get a chance to tune in on Friday when we get done with the rounds, hop in, because we're going to try to get up to the top of our own little mini version of Deep Dip. It's a confusing tower to try to get to the top of. Like, well, wouldn't that? Yes, this is part of the silliness. We're going to try to do it with like cars and jump our way up to the top. That's where it gets extra silly. All that information is over on Linux Gamecast under the Track Mania button, under the home button. But, you know, it's up to you to know how to use the website. I can't help you if you can't figure that one out.
It's such a fun 3D puzzle platformer. It's one of my favorite games.
It's good.
Yeah.
Fun times had by all. All right. Until next week, and I'll be back Saturday for Linux Gamecast. We got already sticking a show together. Blast from the past. Definitely had a game come out of nowhere that has basically just been unavailable to get digitally for 20 years. And they're like, hey, here's a reissue on Steam, on Linux, which is weird. More about that on Saturday if you can come join us. See you then, everybody. Have a great rest of your week.
Bye, everyone. See you next week. Hmm.